Okay, hello there, grade 4. For today, we are going to learn how to add and subtract fractions. Okay, so adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, first is for us to identify the type of fraction that we have. First things first is the similar fraction. This is the easiest type of fraction that you can add. Why? Because similar fractions have the same denominators. And having the same denominators, all you have to do is just to copy the denominator and add the numerators. So which now have the final answer as 7/8. Okay. Now, a different manner, a different approach for dissimilar fraction. For dissimilar fractions, actually, it depends, okay? Because in my case, I have 3 ways to solve this. Okay? For dissimilar fractions, there are 3 ways to solve this. One is by simply making the denominators equal. Okay? Making the denominators equal. So it's either by multiplying 1 or by dividing 1. Okay? The other one is through cross multiplication process. Okay. This is the other one. Cross multiplication process. Actually, I find this easy. Actually, I find this the easiest among all. Kasi you just need to be familiar with what you're supposed to do. And of course, the normal way of solving dissimilar fractions is using the LCD method. Okay? LCD method through the use of the LCM or least common multiple. LCD basically stands for least common denominator. Cross multiplication process is actually ideal if you know how to simplify the fractions. But if you don't, then stick with the LCD. Pero sige lang, either way, it's the same. This is a learning process. So mag-start tayo with the first process, which is I call the making the denominators equal. What do you mean by making the denominators equal? So for example, you have 2/5 plus 1, or let's say 3/10. Check the denominators. Are they the same? No, they are not, because this is an example of a dissimilar fractions. Okay, these are examples of dissimilar fractions. And if you notice that 5 can become 10 in terms of multiplication. 10 can also be 5 in terms of division. But if you're going to divide 10 by 2, it is equivalent to 5, right? But you cannot divide 3 by 2 because you will end up with having a decimal. Correct? So meaning you are not going to divide, but you are going to make use of multiplication by making use of the denominator, which is 5. Making 5 equal to 10 in terms of multiplication. So that's multiplying 5 by 2. And there's a golden rule. What you do with the denominator, you should also do it with the numerator. Okay, so in this case, rewriting our fraction. 2 times 2 will give us 4. And 5 times 2 will give us 10. Rewriting 3/10. And if you notice now that our fraction became similar fractions. And when we talk about similar fractions, it's the easiest to solve. So, di ba? 10 and 10, which will just be equivalent to 10 since our denominators are the same. And for the numerators, we just need to add them. So that's 4 plus 3, which will give us 7. Diba? So technically, it's very easy. Let's try to have another example. Let's say we have 6 or 5 rather. 5 over 9 plus 1 over 3. As you can notice that then again, applying the technique earlier, you are either supposed to find a number that you can multiply or divide. 9 is possible. 9 can become 3 through dividing. And the answer here is 3. But, check. Divided by 3, can you divide 5 by 3 without having decimals or remainders? No. It is not possible. So we make use of the multiplication process by using the other denominator, which is in this case is 3. 3 multiplied to what number will give you 9? So obviously it's 3. So again, Teacher Mark, why are you doing this? Because we want to make the denominators equal, the same. Okay, so that's basically multiplying 3 by 3, which will give us 9. And what you do with your denominator, you should also do it with your numerator. That's a number 1 rule. Yan ang pinakamadali. Rewriting everything, we have 5 over 9 plus 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, and now we have similar fractions. All we have to do now is to copy the denominator and add the numerator, which will give us 8 over 9. Okay? So this is how you basically deal with dissimilar fractions in which their denominators can be the same. Okay? Because there are cases that the denominators cannot be the same. Like for example, this is when you are going to make use of the cross multiplication process. So in this case, kunwari, 4 over 7 plus 1 over 3. If you notice that 7 cannot become 3 in terms of division, and 3 cannot become 7 in terms of multiplication. Yes, it is possible, but we end up with a decimal. We don't want decimals in our fractions. Okay? Kasi fraction na nga sila. Tapos magiging decimal pa. Okay? So in this case, this is the technique here. The cross multiplication process. First things first, step 1 is to take the denominator of one fraction and multiply it to the denominator of the other fraction, which is in this case 7 times 3 will give us 21. That answer will be the answer of your new denominator. Okay. Next step is step number 2. Going from this point, multiply all the way, cross multiplication tayo, going to this way. Just follow the flow na lang, no? Para you will get it logically. 3 times 4 will give you 12. So you write 12 here. Teacher Mark, is that the answer? No, not yet. What is our sign? It's plus. Then taking the other side naman, step 3, which is here, cross multiply from this point all the way there. So 7 times 1 will basically give you 7. So this is now equivalent to 12 plus 7 is what? 19 over 21. So that's how you get the answer through cross multiplication process. This is the technique that you're supposed to use if you cannot make the denominators the same. This cross multiplication process is the same as the LCD method. It's just that the LCD method is a very long and complicated way of doing it. Okay? So then again, kung hindi nakuha, it's okay. Another example para makuha ninyo. I am making use of color codes, no, para mas makita nyo yung logic, how the numbers end up that way. So let's say we have 4 over 9 plus 2 over 5. Okay. Dito na naman tayo. First things first, again, if you check, 9 cannot be equivalent to 5 in terms of division, and 5 cannot be equivalent to 9 in terms of multiplication. It is then again possible, but through decimals, and we don't want it here. So, first things first, step 1, to multiply one denominator to the other denominator. 9 times 5, which is 45, and that will become your new denominator. Step 2, we'll start here from this point all the way there. 5 times 4 will give us 20, so that gives you 20. And of course, take the sign. It depends if it's either addition or subtraction. Actually, the same lang. Most of my examples, addition lang lahat because technically, it's just the same. The only difference is yung sign. Okay? Then, step 3, we'll start from this point. 9 multiplied to 2 will give you 18. Okay. 20 plus 18 will give you 38 over 45. So, that's basically the answer unless you can still simplify them. Okay, if you can still find a way to simplify ninyo. Okay, so this is basically how you do the basic of adding and subtracting fractions, especially sa dissimilar fractions. Step 1 is making the denominators equal. Step 2, not actually step 2, but the technique number 2 is cross multiplication process. So, depende na sa inyo. If you can still make them the same, then make use of the technique number 1, making the denominators equal, but not use the cross multiplication process. Okay. So, dito naman tayo ngayon sa LCD method. I know it's quite a long video, pero sige lang. LCD method or LCM. LCD stands for least common denominator. So, paano nga ba natin ginagamit itong technique na to? I mean this LCD method. Once you use this, you don't mind whether the numerators can be the same. I mean the denominator can be the same or not. It doesn't matter when it comes to LCD method. Okay? Then again, you can learn method 1 and 2. This is actually, I prefer this kasi mas mabilis. Or, you want to learn method number 3 alone. Okay, so depende yan sa inyo. It depends in your case. Okay, so, for the LCD method, paano nga ba natin ginagawa ito? Let's say we have 3 over 8 plus 2 over, let's say, we have 6. If you're going to apply technique number 1 or method number 1, hindi pwede. For technique number 2, pwede, diretso. Pero in this case, we're going to make use of the LCD method. So, paano nga ba natin gagawin ito? First things first is to gather our denominators. We have 8 and 6. And take their first few multiples. First few multiples of 6, we have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. First few multiples of 8, we have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Then, try to find something that they have in common. First, do you have an 8 here? No. Do you have 16 somewhere here? No. Do you have 24 somewhere here? Yes. So, in this case, we can take our least common multiple as our least common denominator, which means this 24 will be taken and will be our new denominator. Now, Teacher Mark, what do we do with this? Wala na. You already used it, so we don't need this anymore. So, babalik na tayo ngayon dito. I just need to erase this kasi medyo long process nga ito, like what I've said. After getting the LCD, you are going to make use of division and multiplication process. Paano nga ba yan? Okay, first things first, take the LCD and deal with it with the first given fraction, which is 3 over 8. 24 divided by 8. 24 divided by 8 will give us 3. What do you do with 3 now, Teacher Mark? Next step is to take your answer and multiply it with the numerator, which is in this case is 3. 3 times 3 will give you 9. Okay, next tayo. Not since you're done with the first fraction, do the same exact process, but this time with the second fraction. 24 divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 will give you 4. Okay, 4 divided by 2. Kasi division na nga ito dito. Okay, i-erase ko muna to just to show the division sign. 4 divided by 2 will give you 2. 9, and of course, taking the sign, plus. Add nyo lang ngayon. What is 9 plus 2? 9 plus 2 will give you 11. And of course, copy the denominator. So our final answer here is 11 over 24. Now, Teacher Mark, can we try to do it using the technique earlier that you did? Sige. Let's try to deal with that process. Okay, wait. Okay, Teacher Mark made a mistake. Sorry about that. Sabi ko na eh. That's why I was doubting my answer. Okay, again, after dividing, sorry class. We are supposed to multiply it. Okay, sorry about that. 24 divided by 6 will give us 4. 4 multiplied to 2 will give us 8. Okay, sorry about that. And getting the sign, that's plus. 9 plus 8 will give us 17. Okay, 17 over 24. Okay, Teacher Mark got confused lang. Sorry. Okay, again, explain ko again by giving you another example. 4 over 9 plus 2, let's say plus 1 over 4. Okay. Getting the first, again, ang kailangan natin dito gawin when it comes to LCD method is just to get the LCD. Kailangan natin ng LCD dito. Okay, our least common denominator, and by doing that, we need to get the first few multiples of 9 and 4. You have 9, you have 18, you have 27, you have 36, you have 45. For 4 naman, ngayon naman, since 4 is a smaller number, try to stop na lang until you reach any of these numbers above, no? So 4, 8, you have 12, you have 16, 20, 24, 28, you have 32, and you have 36. And if you notice, meron tayong 36 dito. So, yan ang first pair natin. Okay? So, 36. We can now say that the LCD of 9 and 4 is 36. Like what I said earlier, you can now erase this. Again, sorry kanina sa error ko. I know as a start learning process, that can confuse you. Okay, that's why I'm gonna give you another example. Okay, in this case, you take our LCD again, and first step is to divide it with the first denominator. 36 divided by 9 will give us 4. And 4 multiplied to the numerator, which is 4, will give us 16. Okay? And doing the same exact thing with the second fraction, divided by 4 will give us 9. And 9 multiplied to 1 will give us just 9 alone. So adding this, what is 16 plus 9? It will give us 25 over 36. Okay, let's try to do this using yung technique natin number 2, cross multiplication process. Let's try to find out if they have the same answer. 4 over 9 plus 1 over 4. Again, you are using the second method, which is cross multiplication process. Okay, let's try. 9 times 4, 36. 4 times 4, 16. 9 times 1, give us 9. And the answer is just the same. But it's not always the same. You will initially not end up with the same answer right away. Just like, for example, ito. Pero tingnan nyo to. Compare these two. We have the same answer. Now, let's try it with the number earlier. We have 3 over 8 plus 2 over 6. Okay. Try natin gawin yung process. First step is yung denominators natin. Step 1. 8 times 6 will give us 48. Dito pa lang, malayo na ang sagot natin. Do you notice? 36 dito eh. Pero sige lang, we'll try to find out. Step number 2, cross multiply, 6 times 3 will give us 18. Step number 3, 8 times 2 will give us 16. And if you're going to add 18 plus 16, this will give us 34 divided by 48. Tingnan niyo yung sagot natin. Malayo. So if you notice, in this case, we have an answer of 34 over 48, while yung dun sa taas is 17 over 24. Why did I compare it with 36 earlier? Sorry about that. Again. Okay, we are comparing it with this one. Okay, 3 over 8 plus 2 over 6. 3 over 8 plus 2 over 6. Kung mapapansin ninyo, that we have 17 over 24 here, but our answer here sa baba, using the cross multiplication process, is 34 over 48. Now, sige lang, let's try to simplify this first. Both numbers can be divided by 2 because they are even numbers. What is 34 divided by 2? 17. What is 48 divided by 2? 24. Now, observe our answer. 17 over 24. 17 over 24. So, like what I've said earlier, as long as you know how to simplify, this cross multiplication process is the best. Kasi para sa akin, is the best method because it's the fastest one for me. While LCD method, long process masyado. You have to divide, then multiply, then ganun. Marami ka pang gagawin. Although, in this case, you don't need to simplify anymore because your answer will be already simplified. Okay? So, that's basically it for this topic.